Thank you for joining with me as we continue our exploration of A Course in Miracles. In the last video, I shared how my intent was to go back to the beginning of the text. And it wasn't until after I had uploaded the video that I realized that I had read from chapter 2, section 1, and what I had wanted to do was read from chapter 1, section 2. Section 2 is the very next section after the Principle of Miracles, the 50 listed Principle of Miracles that we look at one by one in each video. Today's principle, for example, will be number 18. So what I'd like to do, and luckily this is an experiment, so really we can do whatever we want. So what we're going to do is read from section 2 of chapter 1 of the text, and then we're going to practice lesson 50 together. We'll review the principle. Again, that's number 18. And so that will be our video for today. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we click on Read A Course in Miracles. Clicking on the text. So we're going to chapter 1, the meaning of miracles. We go through the principle of miracles, as I said, and so we're looking at section 2, entitled Revelation, Time, and Miracles. Okay. So here we go. Paragraph 1. Revelation induces complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. It reflects the original form of communication between God and his creations, involving the extremely personal sense of creation sometimes sought in physical relationships. Physical closeness cannot achieve it. Miracles, however, are genuinely interpersonal and result in true closeness to others. Revelation unites you directly with God. Miracles unite you directly with your brother. Neither emanates from consciousness, but both are experienced there. Consciousness is the state that induces action, though it does not inspire it. You are free to believe what you choose, and what you do attests to what you believe. Okay, so this paragraph compares revelation with miracles, and we can know that the English word reveal comes from the word revelation. So it's when something is revealed to us. So the paragraph says, revelation unites you directly with God, whereas miracles unite you directly with your brother. At the beginning of the paragraph it says, revelation reflects the original form of communication between God and his creations. And his is capitalized, his creations. Involving the extremely personal sense of creation. So this speaks directly to lesson 49, the last lesson that we practiced, which is God's voice speaks to me all through the day, or the voice of God speaks to me all through the day. So we, from our last video, are committed to practicing and expecting to hear God's voice all through the day and to nurture and develop that intimate relationship with God's grace, with God's wisdom, making God the leading authority for our lives. And this is a practice. It's not easy. The everyday temporal world is a distracting one. It's noisy, it's staticky. So it's easy for us to get into this frequency where our worldview becomes very literal and we take life very personally. But the Course is asking something else of us. It's asking us to shift the periscope of our attention to something that which is above our small, limited, finite level of mind, which would be what we call God, right? And so it's interesting to say that then miracles, which we've been taught before, I suppose, that miracles are more like a bridge. And so it makes sense then that miracles unite us directly with each other. Miracles unite you directly with your brother. Miracles unite us directly with one another, with humanity. That's what that's saying. And I also think it's interesting that in this paragraph, it's showing what the human personality tries to do, because it says in the second sentence how it's through our physical relationships that we seek this communication with God. So I can see how we actually seek this relationship with God, with one another, with our physical relationships. But this paragraph is saying that's not where you will find God. It's not where true knowledge will be revealed to you. It's not there. It's not in our physical relationships, but rather it's in our relationship with God. And so again, it's miracles that connect us with one another. The paragraph also says neither emanates from consciousness, but both are experienced there. So it's saying that both miracles and true knowledge, which is revelation, precedes our consciousness. But we do experience both higher states of creation, I suppose. We experience them in our consciousness. Okay. All right. So let's go back to share the screen for paragraph 2. Revelation is intensely personal and cannot be meaningfully translated. That is why any attempt to describe it in words is impossible. Revelation induces only experience. Miracles, on the other hand, induce action. They're more useful now because of their interpersonal nature. In this phase of learning, working miracles is important because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon you. Revelation is literally unspeakable because it is an experience of unspeakable love. Okay, and so this paragraph is building on the very first sentence of paragraph 1, which said revelation induces complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. And so who would we be as ourselves, our unique, magnificent selves? Who would we be in this day, in this life, with all the ingredients and the cast of characters all being the same? Who would we be without doubt and without fear? If we're without doubt, that means we are full up with faith. We are full up with trust. And if we are without fear, that means we are filled up with courage, with strength, with a sense of certainty. So who would we be? Full of faith, full of trust, full of courage and certainty, clarity. So we can feel through these human states of grace how that communication with God, how that creates the conditions for that communication with God, because God's voice is quiet, and oftentimes it only speaks one time. Not all the time. Sometimes it really knocks on your door for a while. It's generous in that way. But other times it's just a fleeting, quiet, inspired thought that is barely audible to the mind. So if our focus is on that which creates the conditions for guilt and fear and doubt and worry and so on, that terrain, that mental static is incompatible with God's voice. All right, so the paragraph says, revelation induces only experience. Miracles, on the other hand, induce action. So revelation is the direct experience of a holy communion with divine intelligence and grace. It precedes action. It's revelatory. It happens in the space in between. No thought or action is required because it's holy. It's without thought. Whereas I can see how miracles, on the other hand, are within the realm of human beingness. And so miracles are in the realm or the domain of forgiveness, the extension of love, the intent to bear witness to another's innocence. So I can see how miracles require the personality to be involved to a certain extent. But we're also learning how miracles are an effect of the divine, and that we are simply instruments to, or bridges to, facilitating miracles in our time-space reality. The paragraph says, working miracles is important because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon you. Yeah, so the fearful mind cannot make itself unafraid. It's through a realization of a deeper truth that fear can dissolve, that fear becomes incompatible with that truth. And then revelation is literally unspeakable because it is an experience of unspeakable love. So the human mind cannot comprehend revelation, is what I'm understanding from this paragraph. So from here, let's continue with paragraph 3. Or should be reserved for revelation to which it is perfectly and correctly applicable. It is not appropriate for miracles because a state of awe is worshipful, implying that one of a lesser order stands before his creator. You are a perfect creation and should experience awe only in the presence of the creator of perfection. The miracle is therefore a sign of love among equals. Equals should not be in awe of one another because awe implies inequality. It is therefore an inappropriate reaction to me. An elder brother is entitled to respect for his greater experience and obedience for his greater wisdom. He is also entitled to love because he is a brother, and to devotion if he is devoted. It is only my devotion that entitles me to yours. There is nothing about me that you cannot attain. I have nothing that does not come from God. The difference between us now is that I have nothing else. This leaves me in a state which is only potential in you. Wowee. Wowee. Okay, so here we have the I. We have an I. And so this I is telling us who the speaker is, who the author is. The I is Jesus. And what's fascinating about this paragraph is that he is telling us who he is. He is an elder brother. He is devoted to us as an elder brother. He is wise. That God is the only thing that fills him, that he has nothing else. Inferring then that we create false idols, that we are distracted by a lot of other things, and that we are not filling ourselves only with God. So So again, at the beginning of this paragraph, it says awe should be reserved for revelation. So just think about what awe feels like. We have the word awesome, don't we, that we throw around all the time. But awe in its original sense is the wordless. And so we're being directed, our attention is being directed in this paragraph to only have awe for the creator of perfection. Again, in this paragraph, we are shown what miracles are. A miracle is a sign of love among equals. And so where there is love in our level of consciousness and at the level of form, when there is pure love, that is the instrument, the fuel, the conditions that create miracles. That's what I'm getting from this paragraph. What I love about this paragraph is where Jesus tells us, there is nothing about me that you cannot attain. I have nothing that does not come from God, inferring that neither do we, except, as I said before, we're easily distracted. He says, this leaves me in a state which is only potential in you. So the whole course is about training our little will to align with divine will, with a higher will. Let's keep going for now for paragraph 4. I'm going to go back to share the screen again. No man cometh unto the Father but by me, does not mean that I am in any way separate or different from you except in time. And time does not really exist. The statement is more meaningful in terms of a vertical rather than a horizontal axis. You stand below me, and I stand below God. In the process of rising up, I am higher because without me, the distance between God and man would be too great for you to encompass. I bridge the distance as an older brother to you on the one hand, and as a son of God on the other. My devotion to my brothers has placed me in charge of the sonship, which I render complete because I share it. This may appear to contradict the statement, I and my Father are one, but there are two parts to the statement in recognition that the Father is greater. Wow. This paragraph is fascinating because here the voice, the voice of Jesus, is quoting directly from the Bible. And these are well-known quotes from the Gospel of John. The first quote, the paragraph starts with, no man cometh unto the Father but by me. And the second one is, I and my Father are one. And so what this paragraph is doing is interpreting what these mean, what these meant. The paragraph is giving us this picture. It's painting a picture for us, saying that to see the relationship rather than horizontally, all on the same plane, but rather vertically, which I feel like we do. I feel like naturally our consciousness assumes a higher and a lower, right? We use that language. So seeing then that Jesus stands below God and that the sonship, humanity, stands in terms of consciousness beneath Jesus, and that Jesus is the bridge for the Son of Man to attain union with God. Towards the bottom of the paragraph, it says, my devotion to my brothers has placed me in charge of the sonship. Again, sonship, translate that as humanity. So my devotion to my brothers and sisters. Essentially, we can translate it to say, my devotion to humanity has placed me in charge of humanity. And then he says, this may appear to contradict the statement, I and my Father are one, but there are two parts to the statement in recognition that the Father is greater. So let's see. So looking at that, I would say it's because the I infers or shows or illustrates the individuality of Jesus, that in the sentence's design, that the Father is greater, even in as much as Father is capitalized. That's my thoughts on paragraph 4. So let's now continue for paragraph 5. Oops. Revelations are indirectly inspired by me because I am close to the Holy Spirit and alert to the revelation readiness of my brothers. I can thus bring down to them more than they can draw down to themselves. The Holy Spirit mediates higher to lower communication, keeping the direct channel from God to you open for revelation. Revelation is not reciprocal. It proceeds from God to you, but not from you to God. Wow, so this paragraph is fascinating to me because it differentiates between Jesus and the Holy Spirit. I find that fascinating because in my mind, it is the disincarnate aspect of Jesus that is the Holy Spirit. I interpret that as one and the same, but the Course, through the voice of Jesus, is saying that the Holy Spirit in this paragraph is a mediator of higher to lower communication, keeping the direct channel from God to you open for revelation. And here it's saying that Jesus is close to the Holy Spirit, and as a result of that closeness can bring revelation to a human being who is ready for revelation, for the truth being revealed, the holy truth being revealed. Fascinating, right? And what's interesting too about this that I'm noticing is this top-down imagery that we're being given, because in the Eastern healing art traditions, it's more of an expansion more so than this above and below. For example, the analogy of being like a individuated drop of the ocean. So the ocean wave comes up, there is a spray, and in that moment there are these individuated droplets of ocean flying through the air, having this fantastic experience, seeing things from a different point of view for a very short, infinitesimal amount of time in the great scheme of things, and then returns to the ocean, never not being the ocean. And so that analogy is often applied to what we are, this individuated point of view of consciousness that believes it's to be separate for this short infinitesimal amount of time that feels to be an eon, is for us a lifetime. But then once the body is no longer needed, then returns once more to share God's mind, to become one with God. Let's continue for paragraph 6. Last paragraph. The miracle minimizes the need for time. In the longitudinal or horizontal plane, the recognition of the equality of the members of the sonship appears to involve almost endless time. However, the miracle entails a sudden shift from horizontal to vertical perception. This introduces an interval from which the giver and receiver both emerge further along in time than they would otherwise have been. The miracle thus has the unique property of abolishing time to the extent that it renders the interval of time it spans unnecessary. There is no relationship between the time a miracle takes and the time it covers. The miracle substitutes for learning that might have taken thousands of years. It does so by the underlying recognition of perfect equality of giver and receiver on which the miracle rests. The miracle shortens time by collapsing it, thus eliminating certain intervals within it. It does this, however, within the larger temporal sequence. Okay, so as we've gone through contemplating each principle of miracles, we keep coming up to this idea that miracles transcend time and also transcend physical reality. And I can see how through our intent, our prayerful intent, using love as the fuel, that is the formula, if you will, of what creates the conditions for miracles, for prayers to be heard and for the alchemy to shift, for the plasticine of reality to arrange itself to align with that intent. And so I can see how then that miracle can, what we would perceive as fast track a human mind to then transcend the usual order of experience, the slow slug of chronological human evolution and experience, but rather awakens the mind to the supernatural, honestly. And so if this is possible, what else is possible? And it opens up the mind to that which is beyond itself, that which is metaphysical. Yeah, so I can see that. Can you see that? Are you following along? And if not, that's no issue either. Feel free to share your questions. Again, this is just an experiment. I'm riffing, just going with what comes in my mind. That's all. So we've come to the end of this section. So I'm going to go back to share the screen again. And now we're going to go to our lesson. So we're going to practice lesson 50 together. And as always, I'm going to have the narrator read the lesson for us. We're at lesson 50.
Lesson 50. I am sustained by the love of God. Here is the answer to every problem that will confront you today and tomorrow and throughout time. In this world, you believe you are sustained by everything but God. Your faith is placed in the most trivial and insane symbols: pills, money, protective clothing, influence, prestige, being liked, knowing the right people, and an endless list of forms of nothingness that you endow with magical powers. All these things are your replacements for the love of God. All these things are cherished to ensure a body identification. They are songs of praise to the ego. Do not put your faith in the worthless. It will not sustain you. Only the love of God will protect you in all circumstances. It will lift you out of every trial and raise you high above all the perceived dangers of this world into a climate of perfect peace and safety. It will transport you into a state of mind that nothing can threaten, nothing can disturb, and where nothing can intrude upon the eternal calm of the Son of God. Put not your faith in illusions. They will fail you. Put all your faith in the love of God within you. eternal, changeless, and forever unfailing. This is the answer to whatever confronts you today. Through the love of God within you, you can resolve all seeming difficulties without effort and ensure confidence. Tell yourself this often today. It is a declaration of release from the belief in idols. It is your acknowledgement of the truth about yourself. For 10 minutes, twice today, morning and evening, let the idea for today sink deep into your consciousness. Repeat it, think about it, let related thoughts come to help you recognize its truth, and allow peace to flow over you like a blanket of protection and surety. Let no idle and foolish thoughts enter to disturb the holy mind of the Son of God. Such is the kingdom of heaven. Such is the resting place where your Father has placed you forever.
Beautiful. We couldn't get a more perfect lesson for the section of the text that we just covered. Amazing. All right. So the instructions for today are 2 practice periods of 10 minutes. And this is a much longer meditation practice. So 1 practice period in the morning, 1 in the evening, to really allow the idea for today's lesson to sink deeply in, which is I am sustained by the love of God. I love how the lesson totally calls us out. In the very first paragraph, amazing. The paragraph says, here is the answer to every problem that will confront you today and tomorrow and throughout time. In this world, you believe you are sustained by everything but God. Your faith is placed in the most trivial and insane symbols: pills, money, protective clothing, influence, prestige, being liked, knowing the right people, an endless list of forms of nothingness that you endow with magical powers. So good. Wow. Called out. All right, so these are distractions, replacements for the love of God. And so the lesson, again, the idea, the lesson, the mantra is I am sustained by the love of God. 2 10-minute practice periods. The instructions also say, tell yourself often today, through the love of God within me, I can resolve all seeming difficulties without effort and in sure confidence. So again, that's through the love of God within me, I can resolve all seeming difficulties without effort and in sure confidence. The instructions say, this is a declaration of release from the belief in idols. It is your acknowledgement of the truth about yourself. Again, through the love of God within me, I can resolve all seeming difficulties without effort and in sure confidence. All right, so we are going to practice this idea together for today, a 10-minute mini meditation. So take a moment to prepare yourself to come to still, to lay down somewhere or sit somewhere. If you're going to lay down somewhere, just prepare yourself so you don't fall asleep, because these lessons require our attention. This is not a checking out, an opportunity to distract ourselves by getting sleepy and dopey. This is an opportunity to be still, to receive, to put our little will, the periscope of our attention, so that our little will can align with God's will, and so that Jesus, through it seems the Holy Spirit, can reveal divine truth to us. So find somewhere where you could lay down with attention, sit down, and start to bring your attention to the unconditional love and support that's here. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again so that you can read the language. And I'm going to start the timer shortly. And so before I do, just bring your attention to your breath, the in and the out of it, the respiration, the re-spiriting, just even noticing that you're not the one doing it, that your body breathes without your permission, whether you ask it to or not. Coming home to the incredible unconditional love and support that's here, that's holding you in just the right amount. Exhaling fully, inhaling deeply, let your eyelids rest over your eyes and smile. I am sustained by the love of God. I'm starting the timer now. I am sustained by the love of God. And just allowing all supporting ideas to reveal themselves to you. And being vigilant to any frivolous and distracting thoughts. If any frivolous or distracting thoughts arise, just notice. Bring your attention back to the breath, the unconditional love and support that's here, that's holding your body in just the right amount. And the idea that I am sustained by the love of God. I am sustained by the love of God. through the love of God within me, I can resolve all seeming difficulties without effort and ensure confidence. I put all my faith in the love of God within me. All right. How was that 10 minutes for you? Because that's the first time that we've done such a long meditation with the lesson. So I'm curious how that was for you. And one idea that did come to me through that meditation was the vertical versus horizontal image in a practical sense that is graphically and literally depicted in Orthodox churches and monasteries, where the face of Jesus is painted on the ceiling, where you literally need to look up. So I also had a memory as I was thinking about that, as that was coming to me in the stillness, that also in a recent meditation, in the last meditation class, as I was focusing on the breath at my belly, which is a Zen meditation practice, my consciousness moved away from the focus on the belly, and it went beyond my body and was looking up and moving towards the light of the sun in the sky. And then there was a part of my mind that realized that we were traveling towards the sun and snapped out of it. Then this also made me think of how in some of the Eastern movement art practices, the yogic practices, how you're invited through the practice to look up towards the third eye, to roll your eyes upwards and look up. So it's interesting. I'm just sharing what came to me in very quick succession, that there is this relationship between the up and the down in a very tangible way in our modern day spiritual practices, for what it's worth. Okay, so I'm going to go back and share the screen again, and now we're going to look at our principle of miracles. So we're coming back to the home page, to the text, the meaning of miracles in chapter 1, the principle of miracles in section 1, scrolling down to number 18, which is where we're up to. As always, I suggest taking a screenshot to contemplate this as an added meditation practice, contemplative practice throughout your day. So number 18. A miracle is a service. It is the maximal service you can render to another. It is a way of loving your neighbor as yourself. You recognize your own and your neighbor's worth simultaneously. I mean, again, this is amazing. It's an amazing synchronicity with the text, with the lesson, but particularly with the text, because we were being introduced to the definition or the function of a miracle, which is that it is the love for one another. And the love for one another then is only possible when we endeavor to see them as innocent, to see them through the eyes of the Creator, to see them before they ever suffered, before they ever had an illusory thought. I'm going to say a sinful thought. The sinful thought, again, is just simply a thought without love. And so that then we can see beyond that, we can see through that, And that is how a miracle occurs. And this is the true practice. This is the golden rule in action. Loving thy neighbor as thyself. It's as yourself. Seeing your neighbor not separate from yourself, but as yourself, one and the same. It is the only way. It's the only way. All right, I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and just to remind you that there is an opportunity to practice meditation together virtually and in person. I offer the monthly meditation class on the third Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then on the fourth Monday of the month is the Meditation Natural Healing Self-Help class. And both of these classes are creating the conditions for miracles. So I invite you to join. I'd love for you to join. I'd love to see you. To find the registration links, just go to the alilacenter.org website, click on the calendar of events, and you'll see in the description the registration links there. While contributions are welcomed and we're so grateful for them, they're not required to join the class. So don't let that be a prohibitor. All right, wonderful. So thank you for joining with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.